This is Betstars and Stripes with Dr. Turf and Alice Gander.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Betstar and Stripes on 11:16 SEN, Melbourne's home of sport. A big thank you to Mark Fine and Finey's Final Siren, and he'll be back tomorrow night from 7. We'll get stuck into the footy again with Dasher Park and a little bit later on tonight. But it's all thanks to Betstar right now. Betstar and Stripes and Betstar. It's so easy to bet on the go with Betstar. Head to betstar.mobi and save the pay to your home screen and take us on anywhere. Anytime. And from Betstar, Alan Iskander, welcome to you, Al.
Thank you, Cam. It's great to be here. I'm fired up. Week 1, and I think we've got 26 or so weeks till we get to the Super Bowl, and so it should be fantastic.
Should be. Evening, everybody. Thanks, Cam. Yes, there are 15 more games for round 1. We've already seen the reigning premiers. Do you call them premiers?
Champions.
The reigning Super Bowl champions beaten already. Do they unfurl the flag?
I don't know. I didn't actually watch that first game.
Yeah.
Did you watch it, Doc?
They have a presentation.
Yes, I did. The Outsiders got up in round 1, which was nice.
Something.
The Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys. I think they're the second biggest franchise, the second biggest sporting team in the world, behind Man United. I read in some Forbes magazine some time ago, I think they're worth $1.5 billion or something like that.
I reckon when your cheerleaders get their own show on Foxtel, you know that the team's actually worth a few bob.
Agreed. I watched a bit of that show.
I watched it the other night too, just quietly.
It was embarrassing, wasn't it?
When like when you're an apprentice and you sort of get given your diploma, they get given their white boots when they've sort of half by graduated.
94291116 to get involved. A big hour ahead of us. Ed White will join us shortly to talk all things American sport. And he'll be the man who's on the show too in the next couple of weeks when he comes back from the UK. We'll find out what's happening in the UK because some great news talking NFL. Now, what you need to do...
They play a game there every year, don't they?
Yes.
Why can't we have one here?
Well, I think they got knocked on the head, didn't it, recently? The Melbourne government said no to both Major League Baseball and NBA, and you would think NFL would have been next, but got the kibosh.
Extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, we want to be the capital of Australia of sporting events and events in general, and given the opportunity to have a major league sport, a US major league sport, irrespective of what it was.
Well, just imagine a Major League Baseball game at Etihad. It would be sensational. What a great arena to have a Major League Baseball game in.
What did they pay Tiger Woods? They paid him $3 million or something like that to come across and play in the Masters here. It couldn't be much more than $3 million to bring a Major League Baseball game. I would have thought that'd be money well spent ahead of Tiger almost.
What do they pay for the Red Bull, air race thingy that Ted's after?
And don't start me on the Grand Prix. But anyway,
94291116. If we had an NFL game at the MCG, would you go? Let us know. 94291116. Because I assume if you've been to games before, you think it would work or not?
No, you'd fill the joint. I reckon you'd fill the joint. The MCG, and having been to soccer at the MCG, World Cup games and qualifiers and that, and even State of Origin Rugby League, there's something wrong about the MCG. It's like it's too big because, their fields are so much smaller than the footy Aussie rules field. So you're a fair way away from the action's what I'm saying.
Yep.
And the atmosphere wasn't quite there. But you'd still go and you'd still love it to be there.
I think that's the great thing about being in Melbourne and loving sport in Melbourne is that they pretty much do anything that's unique and it's going to draw a crowd. I've been to soccer games. The MCG's got 90,000 people there. It's just extraordinary. We'll support anything that they bring out here. So if NFL brought a game out here, I have no doubt in my mind we'd get 90,000 people to the G to watch it.
Did you get Australia around, did you? You and Peter Hall went?
So I actually did. It was one of the great sporting events I went to. It was the first day I got my MCC membership, and I'd got my restricted membership on that day, went down to that game. One of the most amazing sporting events I've been to.
Flog ran on the field and jumped on the net.
Cost them. To celebrate, and this is on betstar.com.au, to celebrate the start of the season. We're one game down, 13 NFL games tomorrow. Betstar are giving $2 lines on all NFL games until kickoff. Head to betstar.com.au or betstar.mobi to get on now. Exactly, Al, how are you doing this, mate? Because it's like giving money away.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. We've sort of trying to make a real push. As you can tell by this show, as you can tell by our markets, we're getting pretty aggressive with some of our markets. We're making a real push for US sports. We've identified US sports as a growth area, and I don't think we're rocket scientists for doing that. It's been a growth area for the last couple of years, and it's an area we want to invest in terms of our resources, in terms of our marketing spend, and in terms of our markets. So we want to go deeper, and we want to give more competitive markets, and our even money lines are the perfect example of that. There's no margin on that. We set a line, there's no margin on it, and we open it up to the punters.
We're into week 2 at college, but look at the crowds at college last week. That Auburn game, I think it was 90,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the first week, obviously, of college, but It is big over there.
9429 11 16 on Betstar and Stripes. Take Betstar on betstar.com.au. Ross is in East Malvern. How you doing, Ross?
Yeah, good guys. I'm a sports lover, and if there was an NFL game in Melbourne, I'd definitely go. And something that might chuck it up here is I know they did it to soccer a few years ago, and it was really effective. I know that it reduces crowd size, but they actually brought the seats in at Etihad.
Yeah.
And it was you could really tell the difference. And I reckon if they did that, they could probably sell 40. They'd probably only get 40,000, but every person in that 40,000 would have a ripper seat, and everyone would go home happy, I think. And they've done it in London, and I think we're just as sports crazy as the Poms, if not even more. So I reckon a lot of people would go, and it's an event that I think Melbourne should look at. I think the Grand Prix has had its race, and we should look at something like this, maybe even a Major League Baseball game. And as Alan said, people here, like myself, a lot of people are really interested in baseball, American football, basketball. So, why not have the best in the world out here? It'd really get, participation up in local sports as well, I think.
Who do you follow in the NFL, Ross?
Me, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, actually.
So you'd be happy after week one?
Yeah,
What?
pretty happy.
What? Oh,
As long as I think, our owners got to shut up a bit and maybe, maybe he's probably I'd say, Jerry Jones is the Eddie Maguire of the NFL, but
marginally more cashed up, I would have thought, Ross.
Only a little bit, but as long as the offense is working well and the defense is working well, that sort of stuff.
You happy with Tony, your quarterback, Ramo?
Tony's been, there was a few years ago they were saying, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and we had a really good team. I think 7, and we lost to the Giants, but flopped out. But I think he's all right. I think I think he's a good leader. He's experienced, and he went undrafted, and look at where he is now. He's a third-string quarterback now. He's one of the best in the league. So I think he's definitely up there. Like he's a franchise player, that's for sure.
No doubt, Ross. And even though you don't sound that confident, I reckon the Cowboys are going to give it a shake. Jump on betstar.com.au. Make sure you check out the Cowboys and get on them as we head towards Super Bowl. 9429 11 16. Eric's in North Fitzroy. How you doing, Eric? No, Eric's gone. He may be already on betstar.com.au. Hey, Turfy, you've been to a few games, NFL, and you've been to a Super Bowl, and the talk is now, and the AFL are trying to change it a little bit and have the halftime show here. How do you think it's going to work, and do you think it's the right way to go about it?
Do you think Paul Kelly might get a gig at Super Bowl 48?
I think it'd be millions. So that's what we've got on the website. They're millions and drifting. But
yeah, look, we just don't quite get it right. I mean, look, I actually think we should have a night grand final. Look, maybe I'm one out there. I don't know what you guys think, but after having seen, I've been to a rugby league grand final, which is twilight, Super Bowl, which is early night, but it's indoors anyway. Well, indoors the one I went to, so the time of day, I suppose, was irrelevant. But there's just something fantastic about it being at night, and I think the entertainment actually suffers by being on during the daytime.
Yeah, I agree with that, Doc. Well, what about the fact that, the AFL have done such a great job in activating around the MCG during the day. So they monetise it by having this September Club, and they have some other...
Still do it, Al.
You don't think it would lose something overnight?
What about if the granny started at 6:30 or something like that? So you can have like an early dinner, and your entertainment there can start at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But halftime entertainment will then be darkish, if not dark. So, I don't know. Surely we're going to end up having a night grand
It's inevitable.
Final.
It's inevitable. There's absolutely no doubt.
So what
it's inevitable.
the heck are we waiting for?
Turfy.
You got an opinion on that? You're just going to sit there?
I don't think it'll go to a night grand final.
Ever.
I don't think so. I think that when Andrew Dimitro's still there and he's steadfast on a day grand final, I think it works, and I don't think it'll go to night. I don't agree. I think it would be a wonderful spectacle, and I see horse racing's doing it. Cox Plate keeps getting pushed back. That'll end up being a night Cox Plate.
They've got some issues at the moment, corporate-wise, but I can tell you now, it will be a night Cox Plate within 5 years. At Betstars, if I wanted to have a double on Andrew Demetra admitting there is tanking into a
Oh.
night grand final. What odds can I have?
Oh, you could write your own ticket, and I still marvel at that. That tanking issue, I mean, it still makes me cringe, and I still can't believe it. But so in terms of the Super Bowl, Doc, the only person in this studio that's been to a Super Bowl is you, and clearly you've been to a grand final. So contrast and compare the two experiences. I know it's hard to do, but for the rest of us who have never been, let us know what the experience is like.
Once the game started, it's identical. The same passion, the same noise. It was Super Bowl was non-stop noise, and it was support. Like noise, footy noise. It was all about the passion of the supporters of both teams. So once the game started, it's the same. But the actual build-up to the Super Bowl probably went all week. I was in Dallas.
Yep.
And it was freezing cold. It was the most horrible weather leading up to it. Schools were shut, the shops were shut. There was ice all over the city. So it was sort of difficult to get around, but it didn't matter. It was just parties and absolute concerts absolutely everywhere. Whereas the footy sort of a little bit, there's lunches and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, you love grand final week, and Super Bowl week was equally as exciting with things to do. And the weather was so poor, it was hard to sort of really compare them a lot. But no, I think. Plus, the grand final the Super Bowl entertainment is astonishing, and there's also a thing called the Trailer Park, which was outside Cowboy Stadium, but it was sort of a huge marquee. People paid extra to get in there. And there was like 4 or 5 big-name bands as well playing in there. There was catering and everything. There was parties all inside this monstrous marquee setup, which probably went for a couple of hours leading up to the Super Bowl.
What do you think, in terms of the crowd at the Super Bowl, what percentage of people in there actually barrack for one of the two teams that are playing?
Well, I couldn't really tell you. But there was 104,000, I think, in Cowboy Stadium when I went. They had to shut about 5 or 6,000 seats. They had to refund the ticket money because the fire department had come in and said that they're unsafe. So there's a real stink going on as well. I think it holds 108 or 109,000 Cowboy Stadium, which is it is state of the art. And you can't compare it. I mean, it's an astonishing stadium with these screens that went from the 20-yard line at either end. So we're talking a 60-yard long, 55-metre screen, 4-sided, so the two ends as well, and the people on both sides of the arena could watch this, and it was like HD in your lounge room. That was honestly, the screens at the MCG and Etihad, they're just embarrassing compared to this. And they shouldn't be, by the way, because we use the MCG, I don't know how many days a year, but it must be 60 or 70 days a year it gets used, which I would imagine would be as much or more than your average American stadium.
But you know what the difference is, though? In Dallas, I think they've got the NFL record on most consecutive sellout games of all time. It might be something like 160 games. That includes home and away and postseason and playoff time as well. So imagine having a capacity of 110,000, I think you said a moment ago, and getting 160 games in a row, sellout crowds.
That's pretty astonishing. Yeah, that's hard to beat. You struggle to get that really at Port Adelaide versus St Kilda, I suppose, at the G.
And you bumped into Jennifer Hudson?
Oh, shut up, will you?
9429 11 16. If you'd like to get involved, it is Betstar and Stripes. Ed White, not too far away. A few texts coming through. Any American sports game, but no exhibition will work, says Ange, regarding games here in
I'm with
Melbourne.
you on that. I'm with you on that. I don't want to see a friendly or an exhibition game. It's got to be for 4 points.
NFL should have the Pro Bowl in Melbourne. The best of the best, says Pete. That'd be an interesting concept, and I'm sure the players involved wouldn't mind coming down here on a
We're talking about the Pro Bowl that's on the week before the Super Bowl.
The one that's normally in Hawaii, isn't it?
It's in Hawaii every year.
That'd be expensive to get.
And it's a farce too, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's a farce. In fact, I think it's...
Of course it's a farce. It's an all-star game about players who some have been on a junket for a month.
Yeah, it's losing traction. I got the feeling it's losing traction over the past 2 or 3 years, the Pro Bowl, because there's no tackling, there's no hits, there's no nothing. They're just...
I think across the board. I mean, I don't watch the baseball, but the NBA All-Star Weekend, I reckon, is losing traction. I mean, no one plays defense; they just play offense. Who can score the most points? It's junk time.
Home run derby, which was on about it.
Yeah, a month ago.
I mean, it's the biggest fiasco I've ever seen in my life.
The thing with the Pro Bowl is, though, and basketball, I agree, Al, because the All-Star game, it's great to see, but there's no defense. But the Pro Bowl is even exaggerated because you can get hurt.
Yeah,
you get one of these big